Tonight we examine identity theft with Chad, not successful identity theft, not sophisticated identity theft, not the sleek cinematic kind carried out by cool professionals with gloves, discipline, and bone structure. No, this is identity theft as attempted by Chad, which means it is less a crime and more a live demonstration of what happens when a twitchy, booze-pickled man with no impulse control mistakes panic for cunning. Chad is not a mastermind. He is a jittering collection of bad instincts held together by resentment, ethanol, and the belief that consequences are a form of censorship. In person, he is deeply weird, not mysterious weird, not artistic weird, the other kind. The kind that fidgets while standing still, the kind that keeps glancing over one shoulder, even in a private room. The kind that laughs too early at his own sentence, then scans faces like a frightened raccoon trying to see if the joke landed. He is nervous in the hands, nervous in the eyes, nervous in the whole electrical wiring of the body. A man who always seems to be reacting to an invisible text message from God that just says, behave, and never does. Correct, that is precisely correct. Step 1, develop the motive. Chad does not pursue crime for power. He does not pursue crime for luxury. He does not pursue crime because he has a grand criminal philosophy or even a medium-sized one. He pursues it for the bleakest possible reason. He wants somebody else to subsidize his drinking. That's it. No empire, no ambition, no cool underworld logic. Just a jumpy, undersized man with a wet forehead trying to convert someone else's financial identity into liquor. This is not criminal greatness. This is thirst in a hoodie. Step 2, mistake visible anxiety for stealth. Chad believes he can play it cool, which is fascinating because in real life he has never once appeared cool in any measurable category. He is too twitchy, too dart-eyed, too physically suspicious in the way of men who think acting casual means moving even more strangely than usual. He touches his face too much. He checks doors no one has touched. He hunches over screens like they might testify if he were standing in line anywhere. You would not think, there goes a confident operator. You would think, why is that little man sweating like he's smuggling birds? That is Chad's natural energy. Furtive, over-caffeinated, thin-skinned, and permanently half a second away from pretending something came up. Step 3, announce too much. One of Chad's core defects is that he cannot keep his mouth shut long enough to remain ambiguous. He's too needy for mystery. He talks the way frightened men always talk, too much, too fast, with the false confidence of someone trying to outpace his own obviousness. He drops hints. He over-explains. He says things like, let's just say, I know a thing or two, which is exactly what a man says when he knows absolutely nothing except where the nearest bar stool is. He wants to seem dangerous, but his whole vibe is less criminal mastermind and more guy who gets nervous when the waiter asks if he wants fries. Good. Very good indeed. Step 4, become distracted by grievance. At some point, Chad stops focusing on the bad idea and starts ranting about other comedians. This is essential to understanding him. He cannot fail privately. He must fail while also being bitter. He believes that if he talks enough trash about other comics, their talent will somehow leak out of them and into his bloodstream. It won't. Putting another comic down does not make Chad funnier. It just makes him look exactly what he is. A petty, weird little man with hurt feelings and alcohol on his breath. And because he is emotionally paper thin, every perceived slight turns into a meltdown. He is one of those people who gets his feelings hurt in advance. He can walk into a room already offended by what he imagines people are thinking. It is an extraordinary disability of ego. Step 5, confuse self-destruction with rebellion. Chad operates under the tragic delusion that irresponsibility makes him edgy. It does not. It makes him exhausting. He thinks drunkenness is outlaw charisma. He thinks laziness is anti-establishment. He thinks being unstable in public is somehow adjacent to authenticity. Really, it just makes him look like a nervous former hallway myth who decided comedy was an easy job because it involved microphones and low ceilings. He pantomimes as a comedian the way a child pantomimes being a doctor. The props are there. The understanding is not. Jokes require work, timing requires care, craft requires repetition. Chad has no relationship with any of these things because his actual full-time occupation is avoiding the silence in which self-knowledge might occur. Step 6, collapse under ordinary pressure. The true beauty of identity theft with Chad is that the scheme never survives contact with normal life. A password, a follow-up question, a receipt, a clerk with functioning instincts, any of these can reduce him to static because Chad is not built for complexity. He is built for twitching, deflecting, and acting insulted that reality would dare become specific around him. The moment anything requires calm, detail, or coherence, his whole system starts blinking red. Now he's touching his neck. Now he's looking around too much. Now he's doing that fake laugh thing nervous men do when they are trying to project innocence, but mostly just look like they've recently been asked about a missing wallet. He is too weird to be smooth and too lazy to be competent. That is a devastating combination. Exactly, precisely as planned. Step 7, blame everyone else. Once the whole thing implodes under the weight of its own drunken stupidity, Chad does what he always does. He externalizes. It was society, it was haters, it was jealous rivals, it was the system, it was timing, it was bad luck. It was everybody except the obvious suspect, the twitchy, petty, deeply unserious man with a drinking problem and the emotional durability of wet cardboard. He wants to be seen as dangerous. What actually emerges is, like Stranger and Sadder, a nervous little chaos goblin with a swollen ego and the permanent body language of someone who thinks every room contains a snitch. So what is identity theft with Chad, really? It is not a guide. It is not an operation. It is not even a competent failure. It is a character study in shortcuts. A portrait of a man so committed to getting around effort that even his worst ideas arrive half finished and already defensive. A man who wants the rewards of discipline without the inconvenience of possessing any. A man who mistakes collapse for style, grievance for personality, and drunken panic for confidence. It isn't confidence, it's just visible deterioration in a jacket. Also, if your criminal aura can be derailed by a follow-up question and a basket of mozzarella sticks, you may not be a mastermind. That was the joke, of course. Good night.